Rochelle. We're going to welcome back Strings of Mercy to play an instrumental piece for us this evening. Give it up for Strings of Mercies, ladies and gentlemen. Women to the stage, Nadia Brinkley and Genevieve Garcia. Take it away, ladies.
Inquirer Rochelle would like to thank FragranceNet.com for providing this exceptional fragrance for our audience today.
It has an amazing scent that's distinctly feminine with a crisp and elegant introduction, a lightly spiced floral heart, and a sensual dry down to make you feel exceptional.
Because you are. Thank you, FragranceNet.com.
Our next guest is an anesthesiology attending in Greenwich, Connecticut. Dr. Talia Villa graduated from State University of New York Health and Science Center of Brooklyn in 1993. He's been in practice for over 20 years and was recently appointed the Director of Anesthesiology and Perioperative Medicine at Greenwich Hospital. Please welcome Dr. Talia Villa to the stage. Welcome and thank you for being on Inquirer Rochelle today, Dr. T.
My pleasure.
Is it okay if I call you Dr. T?
You call me Al.
All Al. That's absolutely
Just like the
fine.
song.
All right. So explain to those of us that don't know, what does an anesthesiologist, do?
So an anesthesiologist is basically an expert at sedation and further than sedation, general anesthesia, and an expert in airway management. So if you fall asleep, some people snore at night. That's your airways sort of getting obstructed, and we're experts in trying to prevent that during surgery.
Okay. Now, why did you want to become an anesthesiologist? Or is that all you wanted to do?
No, I mean, before medical school, I knew I wanted to be a doctor, and I thought of being an orthopedist or a cardiologist. But when you get into medical school, you get exposed to all the specialties in medicine. Yes. And I found anesthesia had a variety. You can take care of a little baby, a 90-year-old, a 100-year-old, go up to maternity and take care of pregnant women. So I like that variety instead of just doing the same thing all the time.
It's kind of the same thing in nursing. You can jump from one field to the next and
Correct.
have your hands in different pots at the same time.
Correct.
Okay. Now, what's the most common form of anesthesia used in your practice right now?
The most common drug we use is propofol, which people might know from the Michael Jackson drug.
Also known as Jackson Juice.
Yeah.
Jackson Juice.
It's used pretty much for everything, for sedation, for colonoscopies or endoscopies, and induction of general anesthesia for when you're having your surgery, whether it's your hip replaced or your gallbladder removed. We use it every day for everything.
For everything. And what's the difference between, because I get asked this question a lot in nursing, what's the difference between, say, propofol and general anesthesia?
Propofol can be used to induce general anesthesia. It depends on the dose.
Okay.
The more you give, the deeper asleep people are, and you can induce general anesthesia with propofol. You give smaller doses, you can border between a light general anesthetic and just some deep sedation.
Okay. And then a lot of people, when they go in for procedures, they have a fear of, oh my gosh, I'm having anesthesia, I'm never going to wake up again. What would you say, how would you address their concerns, or how would you address their fears?
That is a fear that we see often, but you're more likely to get into a car accident on the way to the hospital than something going wrong with the anesthesia. Mm-hmm. The more serious effects are on sicker people who have bad hearts, bad lungs. Mm-hmm. But a young, healthy person coming in for elective surgery, it's a very low-risk procedure and a very low-risk anesthetic as well.
Okay. Now, people that are going for procedures, everyone sees an anesthesiologist before you go to sleep. So what questions would you advise them to ask before having a procedure done?
Well, you can ask them if they're board certified.
That's important.
Yeah. One common misconception is that a lot of people don't think anesthesiologists are physicians, but we all go to medical school. We all do an extra 4 years after medical school minimum to do anesthesia. But the biggest question I guess you can ask would be, ask your surgeon if they trust the anesthesia team.
Oh, that's important.
They work with them every day, day in and day out, and if they trust them, then you're in pretty good hands.
Would can the surgeon recommend someone if you're going for a procedure and they know of someone that's working with them? Can they recommend someone for you?
Depending on the time frame, obviously not for emergency surgery, but if you have an elective procedure, you can discuss with the surgeon if some favorite person of theirs will be there, and if they can try to schedule. A lot of it's just the juggling of the coordination.
Okay, and then what do people, I know some people say, today is Thursday, if they say, I want Al, and you're not here on a Thursday, would they be open to accepting someone else, or would you think they would reschedule their procedure?
Usually they just schedule the procedure with the surgeon that they want. Okay. But if they, again, with enough time in advance, you can request a specific anesthesiologist if you want. Okay.
Now, I will take this moment to see if the audience has any questions for Dr. Talia Villa. Does anyone have any questions? Any concerns? Any fears?
Hi, I'm Maritza Clark-Jones. I wanted to find out, is the insurance the same for medical as it is for the anesthesiologist? Or do some coverages only cover their doctor but doesn't cover the anesthesiologist?
That's a great question, and a lot of people have that question. Most of the times, if the insurance is covering your surgery, they will cover the anesthesia as well. If you're having anesthesia for a specific procedure, such as an MRI, some people are very claustrophobic and need anesthesia for an MRI, that would need approval beforehand. But most insurance companies will cover anesthesia because that would be kind of cruel.
You don't want to have surgeries without anesthesia, people. Even though it's expensive, you don't want to feel that kind of pain. Now, does anybody else have any other questions for Dr. Tagliavia?
I know this is kind of a bad question, perhaps, but is the paycheck good for anesthesiologists?
There is never any bad questions.
Not a bad question. I don't know any starving anesthesiologists, and I don't know any starving physicians in general, but it is a long road. So you're talking about after you graduate high school, there's 4 years of medical school. There's another 4 years of residency. So you're at least 30 years old before you start working full-time. But it's definitely worth it if you put the time into it, just like your music.
There you go. Perfect. Anybody else has any burning questions? Please don't be shy.
Hello.
Hi.
My question was, what does general anesthesia entail?
So that's a very good question because a lot of people are confused by the terminology, including some of the surgeons we work with. They'll tell us that they want the patient sedated, but they don't want general anesthesia. Once a patient falls asleep and loses consciousness, it's considered general anesthesia. So you can be asleep and they'll poke you and you don't move and you don't remember any of that, that's general anesthesia. Even though maybe in an outpatient setting. Now there are different things that we do while you're under general anesthesia to make the surgery a lot more effortless for the surgeon, sort of like paralyzing your muscles so they don't have to work so hard to stitch everything back together. But general anesthesia by definition is just loss of consciousness.
All right. And I think we had one more question here from Ursula.
Hi, so I've been in surgery before, and I remember the nurses were always so nice walking me in and talking me through this. So what's kind of your process of making sure the patient is feeling comfortable going in?
So the patients are stressed out. If you're not stressed out before surgery, you've either had too much surgery or you're just a little bit too relaxed. Because surgery isn't something you do every day. And we realize that, so we try to make you comfortable. We look at your records, we look at your medical history and what you've been through and if you've had any complications in the past. And a lot of times we just try to relax you to make you feel comfortable coming in. It doesn't have to be all doom and gloom and this is so serious. There's music going on in the operating room. We'll give you a little bit of sedation before you come into the operating room to make you feel a little bit more relaxed and take the edge off. So it's about making you feel relaxed. We know what we're doing. The surgeon knows what they're doing. So we just try to make you feel relaxed as we guide you through that process.
And I can add to that in saying that Al is pretty funny, and he should be paid as a stand-up comedian while doing procedures. So he'll tell a joke or two before the patient even goes to sleep to kind of relax them. So I can definitely add to that, okay? Well, thank you to the audience for asking such amazing questions. And thank you to Dr. Tagliavia.
Thank you.
Matt Bravman is a singer, songwriter, and pianist who hails from New York City and goes by Brave the Night. He has played all over Manhattan at venues such as the Bell House, the Rockford Music Hall, the Bitter End, and Arlene's Grocery. He released his debut album, Mind on Fire, in 2015, and his second album is expected early next year. Please put your hands together for our next act, Brave the Fire.
The song is called In Bloom. She shows her colors like a rare exotic. exotic flower with petals sharper than a shiny razor blade. Her stubborn sorrow is cast into the twilight. She smiles brighter than the sun at the break of day, and running faster than a barrel than a locomotion. As off the track, she's got a knack for getting hurt. Weak and weary from chasing inspiration, she digs for beauty and gets all covered in dirt. She looks out on the river, reflecting on her reason for a long and lonely gloom. A wildflower in a winter, and dreaming of a season when her life shall come and bloom. Her words are spoken like the spirit of a sermon, make blind believers of a many a wandering soul, and hands out heartbreak like it's going out of style. She'll burn a bridge before she's left out in the cold. On the skyline, she can see a storm is coming. The clouds crawl closer as they gently fill the frame. Her heart is helpless and her tears roll like a thunder. But to grow a garden, you know you need a little rain. She looks out on the river, reflecting on a reason for a long and lonely gloom. A wildflower in a winter, dreaming of a season when her life shall come and bloom. She's dreaming of a season when her life shall come and bloom.
Thank you.
So our next guest is a man known as the Dog Whisperer of Brooklyn. He is a self-taught trainer that has a passion for animals, especially dogs. His specialty includes training pit bulls and rescue dogs. He's trained hundreds of dogs with great outcomes. Please welcome Mr. Tyrell Frith to the stage. Thank you for being here, Mr. Tyrell. How are you feeling today?
Oh, fantastic. A beautiful crowd. Beautiful
We can
audience.
have a seat. We can take a seat. We can chill. Now, I'm sure everyone's burning question is, how did you gain the title Dog Whisperer of Brooklyn?
Very interesting. I investigated a reporter from the Daily News. Was in Israel on a contract. She said the bombs was coming closer. She called them, she emailed them and said, listen, I think I want to come back home with my kids. Came home. She went to Prospect Park with her dog. It's a golden retriever. She met a woman in the park with the same breed of dog, and the dog was well trained. And she said to her, your dog is well trained? She said, yes, I have a good dog trainer. She said, what's his name? She said, Tyrell. Okay. The following day, she came back to the park and see somebody else with a dog well trained. I said, wow, your dog well trained. Who is your trainer?
Mr. Tyrell Frith.
And she called me and said she wanted to do a 3 days interview with me, but it's okay.
3 days of interview?
Well,
3 days.
I felt
That's a long process.
I felt a little uncomfortable, but still, okay, let's do it. And then after that, she said, you're going to hear from me. I was going to work one morning and someone called me and said, hey, they're speaking about you on Fox 5, CBS, NBC, and a couple of stations.
Wow.
I said, okay, good. And then so I managed to get back on Fox 5.
And that's how you gained your reputation.
Well, I had a little reputation before, but the media, I mean, that was it. It blew up. 65 calls in one day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's excellent.
It made me nervous, but
Don't you have no need to be nervous.
well,
Absolutely no need.
Yeah, no, when you had 65 calls in one day, I'm like, oh boy. Wow.
They're not bill collectors, so you're good.
Yeah, can I handle this? Yeah. Can I handle this? Yeah.
Now, did you always want to be a dog trainer?
Always.
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 Since you were a kid?
Yes. I was discouraged, and that put me in more drive.
Okay, okay.
More I am discouraged, it's better for me.
That just kicks everything into gear for you.
Yes. This is what I want to do.
When somebody tells you you can't do it, you're like, I'm going to prove them wrong.
Oh, man. I'm at my best.
Perfect. Now, with training these different animals, or these different dogs, I should say, what are some of the difficulties that you face?
The problem never the dog, is always the owners.
People are the problem. You hear that, audience? People are the problem. Not the puppies, the people are.
I always tell people, the success of your dog is depend on which one of us is the trainer. In other words, if you let me to do your job, you're fine. If you want to do your own thing and hire me, you're wasting your money. It's not going to work.
Okay.
That's why you call me.
They call you in so you can do the job, but you also have to train, like you said, the
owner.
person, the owner,
Yes,
and
yes.
the pet.
The dog is easy.
All right. Now you're going to share some tips and tricks with us. Is that true?
Yes.
All right. And I heard you brought along a couple of your friends.
Yes, well, I brought one dog, and the reason for bringing this dog, this dog is a dog that had us, well, not the dog had us to go to court. She had us to sue somebody. It cost $3,500 with the lawyer and the dog. But she did it because she wanted to do the right thing for the breed.
Oh, wow.
You know, dogs that have pit bulls is a bad name. The
Pit bulls do have a bad rap. Yes, they do.
We started the train, the dog had some problems. And you all will take a look at the dog now. You tell me what you think.
All right. So we're going to bring out Shaq and Aiko to the stage. All right. You can stand. All right.
Yep.
Welcome, Shaq and Aiko. So this is Aiko, and you can tell us a little bit about Aiko. I'm going to hand over the mic.
Oh, okay. Say hi.
And this is Shaq, everyone. She is the dog owner. And
I had to hire a lawyer to save her. Aiko, it's all right. She's a little bit nervous. First time for both of us in front of a live audience. So I had to hire a lawyer to save her from someone who wanted to backyard breed her. You know, he didn't know anything about her health or anything. And so the way she is not a dog who's going to be happy stuck in a corner and not given proper stimulation and training. And so...
I have one question for you.
Yes.
I'm not sure what backyard breeding is. What is backyard breeding?
Backyard breeding is when you basically get a dog and mate them, and you don't check whether they're okay DNA-wise, health-wise, to see if there are problems.
Okay.
Because she actually has a recessive blind gene, which I found out doing DNA testing.
Okay.
So if she'd been mated with another dog with the same recessive blind gene, they'd have had blind
puppies.
So
Got
more
it.
dogs.
Oh.
Yeah, who,
Okay.
you know, they might have been put down or, you know, abandoned.
Well, good
So-
for you in saving her life.
Thank you. And with Tyrell's help, you know, we're doing things I didn't think were possible with her because she's very strong mentally, physically. So yeah, it's a constant daily thing, but you know, thanks to this man.
You guys have broken through to her and
Yeah.
got her nice and calm. So what are some of the things that she can do? What's some commands that she can follow?
Let's see, down, right? Your usual basic stuff.
Mhm.
We've got a little thing that Tyrell will guide us through, right? Okay, thank you. I could tell. Go.
Okay.
I'm just going to step aside and take a look.
Yeah, the first thing we're going to do is put the towel down. She's going to send the dog to place. And I am not going to tell her what exercise she should do. I trust her enough that she's going to do the right exercise that's going to work. Down. Good. Go to sleep. Go to sleep. Go to sleep, yeah. Wake up.
Good. Aww.
Stay. So we're going to do some spelling now. S-I-T-D-O-W-N.
Some spelling.
Let's do it over. Let's do it over, please. Let's do it over. Yes. C-O-M-A. That's okay. It's the first time. That's okay. Can you give my hand, please, ladies and gentlemen?
Yeah. Good job, Aiko. So you've taught her how to listen to spelling commands.
She's still in the learning phase.
Okay, but she's doing great. She's doing absolutely great.
She was a little excited with the crowd and nervous. But
I know, and not to mention the kids have been petting her since she's kind of been here earlier today, so she's a little riled up. All right, perfect. Well, thank you, Aiko, and thank you, Shaq, for being here. And thank you, Mr. Tyrell Frith. How can people get your information?
You can email me, tyrellfrith24@gmail.com. My telephone number is 347-475-5689. You could also text me. However, my weakness is text. If you text me in a couple of minutes, I'm there. Email, it might take a couple hours. Choice is yours. But
So text him, don't email him.
Yeah, but one thing I can say to you, Help for Your Dog is on the way.
Thank you so much. Thank you.